Hey guys, how you going? So today on BK Sport, we are back for the A-League Power Rankings. We do these every single Wednesday, and this week is incredibly difficult. I found this week really difficult because there were so many teams that probably deserved to go up higher place on the ladder, but couldn't because teams around them actually won as well. There's teams that are changing by quite a significant amount because this year is so close that even one result can actually push you quite significantly lower if these other teams do win as well. So this is actually probably the most hectic of weeks in Power Rankings because so much has gone on. So let's have a look at week number 11 of the A-League Power Rankings. Alrighty guys, so number 12, last place, unfortunately does go to Phoenix. Now a lot of people might be like, they don't necessarily deserve to be there based on their team, but based on their results, I would say pretty much this is, spot on where they should be. You could argue for 11th, but the reason why I'm not arguing for 11th right now is, despite the fact they did beat the Jets 2-0 over the weekend, it's the Jets. Like, it's an okay win, I guess. The Jets are up and down, they're here, they're there. You don't really know what to take of them, and they're okay, but they're not that great. So that result doesn't really weigh too much in. The result that does affect their placing this week is actually the one against the Melbourne Victory last Wednesday when they lost 2-0 to the last place team, and that obviously put the Victory above them. Now, obviously, I understand what's going on with the Victory over the weekend as well. We will get into that in a second, but I do think that with the results that Wellington have picked up this season and to just their form in general, yes, they deserve to be better. Yes, they should be doing better with their team, but unfortunately, they're not. So they will be in 12th this week. Number 11, and no Victory. Yeah, they're not in last anymore. I know, it's crazy. I think they are in last right now on the actual ladder because of their loss to Western United on the weekend. However, like I said, they did get a nice 2-0 victory over Wellington Phoenix last Wednesday, which did catapult them over the top of the Phoenix. Now, the reason why they haven't dropped below them, based on the fact that the Phoenix beat the Jets and Victory lost to West United, was because Victory still scored 3 goals in that game. And West United are a pretty damn well good team. West United had to rely on a 95th minute winner or whatever it was to beat the Victory. Victory were in that game. They were so close to getting a draw. They were able to score, which is something that Victory don't necessarily do a lot of this season. So I didn't think it was a bad result for them. I think that it was unlucky that they lost that game. I think that West United deserved the win, and I think they were the better team. But I think that Victory, they deserve to, from what I've seen this last week, I've seen a lot more from the Victory specifically than I have seen from the Phoenix. And I think that 2-0 win against the Jets doesn't tell me anywhere near enough for the Phoenix to actually bring them back over the Victory after Victory's win over said team. So, look, I think it's fair enough for now. I wouldn't be surprised if Victory do drop back down in the next week or so. But, that remains to be seen. But congratulations, Victory, I guess, for jumping off the bottom of the table. Number 10, and this team does drop a spot. It is Newcastle Jets. Now, look, this is a fair representation of where this team is in general. Yes, they've been high up on the table, but they've also had quite a few games in hand compared to a lot of other teams. And realistically, this is where they are. And realistically, this is probably where they're going to finish off too. This team isn't that good. This team isn't really bad. This team plugs along. And they're better than what we expected. I said this last week. They're better than what everyone expected pre-season. But in the same sense, let's not get too high on them. They can't score goals, really. Their defense is pretty decent, but in the same sense, can leak it, as we just seen 2-0 to the Phoenix. And it was a bad loss to the Phoenix, considering how the Phoenix have gone so far this season. So, yeah, look, I think it's fair to say they only drop off one spot. They don't go down alongside the Victory or Phoenix just yet at all. It could happen. It could. But for now, the Jets probably deserve to be above them. And going forward, I think they are a better team than the two teams below them. Even though Phoenix have a better team on paper, the Jets so far this season, they deserve to be above them. But they're definitely not higher than where they are right now. Number 9, we've got the Western Sydney Wanderers. Now, this team was 5th last week. Yes. And this is what I'm saying in regards to these power rankings, is that with every team being so close and having so many problems and, everyone beating everyone this year, you can actually see teams drop off quite considerably in the space of a week, in the space of 2 weeks. Wanderers, like I said last week, were in 5th, and it was a fair result back then. It was a fair result for them to be in 5th because, they were showing us that they still could win games, but they're not that great. So I was expecting this week for them to drop below City and drop below Western United, but I didn't think they would be this bad. I was at the game against Adelaide where they lost 3-2. They had about 400 corners. That's cool, but they still lost 3-2. I think they probably should have won that game with the amount of opportunities they had, but they didn't, which is the point there. They didn't. Then they obviously went and played Melbourne City and got comprehensively beaten in that one too. So, look, the Wanderers, I don't know, man. I think this team is so much better on paper, and I just think this team can be so much better with the talent they've got, but it's not working for them right now. And all these other teams have just jumped them, all got nice little cheeky wins over the weekend that probably warrant them to be in better form than the Wanderers, and I can see them all being above the Wanderers right now. And I also see a lot of discontent with the fans in regards to their belief in said team right now. So look, the Wanderers are in a bit of trouble. They need to fix something very quickly. They need to start scoring. They need to get back to their defensive ways. That's another thing I wanted to say, actually. They started off this season, and I believe that they had one of, if not the best defense in the league. Now, they're giving up literally 2 goals every game. I think the last 4 or 5 games in a row, they've given up at least 2 goals. They gave up 3 against Adelaide. So their defense isn't as good as we previously thought, and it's not looking the goods for the old Wanderers. Not looking the goods. But like I said, things are chopping and changing. They get a couple of good wins, they might rock it back up. Number 8, and there is Adelaide United. Now, the only reason I actually put them above the Wanderers is because they specifically beat the Wanderers. And I believe they're only 1 point behind the Wanderers on the actual ladder, and also a game in hand. So, they kind of are in a better position right now than the Wanderers regardless. But I think that with these two teams being so close, because similar to Victory and Phoenix, Adelaide have shown that they've gotten a couple of results recently that are going in their favour. They are pushing along. Yes, obviously, try and forget about that 4-1, 4-0 loss or whatever when they played Macarthur. But overall, this is kind of starting to look a bit more like the team that we were expecting pre-season, the team that could actually compete. And although they haven't looked necessarily great, they still gave up 2 goals, for example, against the Wanderers, who don't really know how to score, and didn't get outplayed as such, but kind of got outplayed. I don't know how to explain that game as well. Look, Adelaide did deserve the win after the first half, I guess, but the second half they were horrific. So look, I think that because they got the result against the Wanderers, that's why they go above them. But this is so difficult to read right now. It's so difficult to read because Adelaide, they're still only won a couple of games in a row. I want to see more from them. I want to see them play a good team before I can really make a serious judgment on them. Number 7, and we've got Western United. I think these guys are pretty good. I think they're better than what their form suggests. I think they're better than what their power rankings right now with number 7 suggests, and I think that they are one of the better teams in the league. However, they still gave up 3 goals to the Melbourne Victory and had to rely on, like I said, a 95th minute winner or whatever to beat the team in last place right now. The last time these two teams played, it was 0-0, and then it was 4-3 this time. Crazy game. Yes, they can score goals, but is their defense good enough nowadays? You know what I mean? Like, they're able to go and win games big, and then they lose games big, and like, what's going on with this team? You know what I'm saying? Like, they know how to score, but they can also concede goals as well. So going forward, we need to look at their defense to see if they are a legit contending team. I think they are better than their position right now, like I said, and I think they will continue to improve. However, I don't think this week showed us necessarily a great deal about them per se. Like I said, they still get 3 goals to the Victory. 3 goals to a team that can't really score. So yes, there is still a little bit of worries about them for me. But in the same sense, they definitely jumped the Wanderers. They definitely jumped the Wanderers. There's a lot more upside to them right now. And I think they've got a couple of games in hand too. So they definitely are going to be charging up the table. Number 6, we have Melbourne City. This is a difficult one for me because I feel like they probably should start to go higher than this now. They're a very similar team to Western United. I think that, yes, I still don't believe in Kisnorbo. I think that the fact that this team has so much talent, the talent's going to shine through regardless. I think that no matter what, this team is going to be able to find results eventually, and that's what they're finally kind of doing right now. They got a nice win against the Wanderers last night. They're getting along nicely, now they are. They've struggled for so long in the early part of the season, and now they're starting to hit their form a little bit, and I think we were all expecting this. I had them as the preseason favourites, and I don't think they win because of Kisnorbo, but in the same sense, this team is coming, and I think that most teams should be worried that, you wrote them off too early, basically. You wrote them off too soon, because we're still only 10 games through the season, guys. I think they're only 8 games or so through the season. So I'm pretty sure they're still in a top 4 spot with their games in hand, and truly, this team has the quality, regardless of their manager, to get results, and they're showing it now. So time to look out for Melbourne City again. This was a difficult one for me because I nearly want to put them into 4th, but I'll explain why I haven't in a second. Macarthur are a very odd team. They're a very odd team. They deserve to be here. They probably deserve to be higher. But in the same sense, they don't, because you don't really know what to make of them. Look, their win against Sydney FC was fine, because they won 1-0 against Sydney FC. That's fine, but Sydney FC aren't that great this year. And truly, Sydney FC, they're lucky that they're as high right now on this power rankings than they are. I just couldn't see them dropping off as significantly as I probably want to drop them off as, because I'm still wary that they're going to find some form. I'm still wary that Sydney will still bounce back. So that's why I've still got Macarthur down here. They are a better team. They are a great team. I've been saying all season. They just need to, figure out their attack. And once they can figure out their attack, then they're going to be a legit team. They haven't really found out their attack yet. Yes, they obviously got a win, the other day by a significant amount. But then they also went and lost to West United by a significant amount. So it's difficult. I want to see more of Macarthur. I want to see them put more results on the board like this. I don't think that game against Sydney just really showed us much. Yes, they got a good win, but in the same sense, like, Sydney aren't doing shit this year. And, well, they're doing shit, but they're not doing shit, you know what I'm saying? So I want to see them consistently put these results on the board because, they win big, they lose big. They win. Who do they play this week, actually? That's a good point. Who will they be playing this week? Let me have a quick little squeezer. Let me have a quick little squeezer at this one. So Macarthur will be playing. No, that's postponed. They will be playing Central Coast. Very good game to get a read of here. Yep, I like that. Central Coast Mariners. So it's the Mariners as Macarthur. If Macarthur can get a win here, I think they can jump pretty significantly on the table for me. Especially with obviously how solid the Mariners have been. Oh man, I just can't rate it. I can't rate them just yet. So I think 5th is fine, but they probably should be above the 4th place team. And number 4, we do have the Brisbane Roar. This is an incredibly difficult one for me. I think that Macarthur have more potential upside with their team list, but I think that Brisbane Roar right now are still able to... I don't know. This 4th and 5th placing is so difficult. The Roar obviously lost 3-1 to Perth Glory. Perth are obviously red hot in form. I know they lost the Mariners, but in the same sense, it's difficult because the Raw can be really good, but they can also be really bland. I wouldn't say bad. They're not bad, but they can be very bland, which is why they couldn't beat Perth Glory. But they're going to get results against other teams. And, they're going to get results against a lot of these lower place teams and even some of your bigger place teams. They play Sydney this week. Actually, very interesting. If they don't beat Sydney, I could see them dropping down to 6th. I could see them dropping even out of the top 6, to be completely honest with you, because West United and Melbourne City are coming. So, look, Brisbane Roar, very difficult for me. I'm going to put them in 4th right now. I think this game against Sydney this weekend will be a massive telling point about how the Roar are going, and it's a worry for me. It is a worry for me how the Raw aren't doing as well as people thought they'd become. I was telling people about this from before the season and even when we were hitting our straps, but this team doesn't necessarily have the oomph factor, which is something that Macarthur doesn't really necessarily have either, but they at least have the upside of potentially having some oomph factor, I guess. So, look, interesting one. I'll put Brisbane Roar here for now, but we'll see how they go after this weekend. Number 3, and we have Sydney FC. Now, they drop off from number 1, and deservedly so. They're lucky that they're not lower, but obviously Brisbane Roar didn't get a win, and Macarthur, I've got my questions about them. So, Sydney FC will stay in 3rd. Their results, more than just this week, have factored into this because they just are seriously struggling overall to put a shot on target. They can shoot, but they're getting better shots on, they're getting more shots, on goal than the other team that they're playing, but they're not scoring. You know what I'm saying? Like, how long since they've scored? Like 3 games now? 2-3 games now? Like, shit, man. Like, this team is struggling to get goals. And they're not exactly defending either, really. Brisbane Roar didn't really throw too much at them because their attack isn't that great. And Macarthur didn't really throw too much at them either, but they still scored a goal. So look, it's and obviously the last game they played as well, it was a 3-2. The last game where they played was 3-2 against Melbourne City, and those 2 goals were really Melbourne City's goals for me. I didn't think Sydney FC really overexerted to get those goals and show their quality to get those goals on the board. So yeah, Sydney FC lucky to be in 3rd. Well, if they lose to the Brisbane Roar this week, they might even drop below the Roar. So yeah, it's so tough, this power rankings, this one. It is, because Sydney probably deserve to be outside of the top 6 with how they've been playing so far this season. But, you know, they've still got a couple of games in hand, and we all know that they can bounce back. I am nervous of the bounce back factor. Number 2, we have the Perth Glory. Now, they did just come off a loss against the Mariners, and they were fine, but in the same sense, they struggled to get a significant amount going. Unfortunately, they couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, which is something we expect with Perth. However, you know, the Mariners are a good damn well team. You know, well, they've been good so far this season, and they really are exceeding expectations, and I think everyone's loving to see it. So, I think Perth, you know, they beat the Brisbane Roar. They deserve to go above the Roar. I think they deserve to go above Sydney FC because there is so much upside with Perth over Sydney, and this team is going to, you know, get a result here or there where they lose, and then they'll come and score 5 goals in the next game. Don't know who they play this week, but gee whiz, I'd be scared. You know, this team is good, and this team could easily be, if they didn't lose the Mariners, they probably would have been a number 1, to be completely honest with you. But they did lose the Mariners. So much upside. Still defensive work needed. That's the only problem with Perth. Their defense, their attack isn't a worry. Their defense is a worry. But I think that, yes, they are better than the teams below them. They've got so much more upside than the teams below them. But they're not at the first place just yet based on the result from last night. And finally, guys, number 1, we do have the Central Coast Mariners. Yes, they are number 1. Fair enough, 100%. They deserve to be here. Good, very solid win against a good team in Perth Glory over in Perth. I was saying for so long, I wanted to see them against an informed team. I wanted to see them against an actual good team that has been hitting their straps, and they played Perth and they did win. Yes, obviously, you know, they lost to Adelaide 3-2, so you do have to weigh that into account, and there is going to be, you know, games this season where they will lose games they shouldn't, and then they'll win games they shouldn't. But overall, the Mariners this season have been the best team so far. They have been. Do I think they're going to win it? Look, I'm increasingly believing in them being a genuine contender. Well, they are a contender, sorry. I'm increasingly believing in them. But experience-wise, it's very much like the Panthers when it came to the NRL. You know, being a very successful regular season team compared to a finals team as well is a whole different story. Could they win the Premier's play? Potentially. You know, they definitely aren't out of it. They definitely are a team that I could look towards getting consistent results to push away. However, I do think long-term wise, a few of these other teams will get above them. But in the same sense, I'm not going to talk about these other teams. The Mariners playing well. They're getting wins on the board. You know, they're getting results. And they're top of the table right now. So, Mariners fans, be happy that you're back. And hopefully, you guys can keep it up. And hopefully, this isn't a mirage. Hopefully, we can actually see this Mariners team genuinely push on and surprise Australia. Because no one believed that this team would make the finals, let alone be in number 1 spot. We're so used to this team being diabolically shithouse for a decade. So, it was difficult to believe in them pre-season. It's still difficult to believe in them now. But they're proving you wrong with every second of the damn well game. So, congratulations to the Mariners. They're in number 1 for now. And, you know, they've got a good game this week, actually, against Macarthur, who can defend as well. So, very interesting to see how it goes. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed. If you haven't hit that thumbs up button yet, please hit that thumbs up button. I do really appreciate it. Obviously, this is the first season that we've actually been smashing out these power rankings for the A-League and smashing out A-League content as well. And I've been loving all the support you guys have been showing for it, considering it is a new sport on this channel. Let me know in the comment section below, guys, your power rankings. Who do you think is number 1? Who do you think is last? Do you agree with my placings? I can definitely see after this week a lot of places being changed from you guys, you know, different opinions. I can definitely see it. If you tell me, buddy, you know, Newcastle Jets are number 1, then, buddy, don't comment it, you know. No, it's okay. You can comment it all you like, but don't as well, you know what I mean? No, it's all good. But anyway, guys, I'm going to jump off for now. I appreciate you guys as always, and I will see you guys next time. Alright, guys, thanks for watching. Catch you later. Shop.